Okay, so let's kickstart this. Good evening, everyone who is joining us today. My name is Gaurava Yadav. For the benefit of all of you who are joining us for the first time, we've been running this series for over 20 days now, 25 if I'm exactly right. Fantastic, I would say, contributions from leaders from across the country so far. Obviously, the core idea is very well spelled out in the very topic of this series, which is that we are looking at top 10 priorities for the year 2021 for the school leaders in India. We've been able to cover the length and breadth of the country virtually. Obviously, that's the only alternative we have as of now. And I must compliment each and every leader who have been with us in the previous panels for their valuable contribution. And we are today in the southern leg of our discussion, which is actually covered, or in fact, the idea of the southern leg means that we are called leaders from the southern fraternity who will be sharing their priorities for us, and obviously people who have attended IPN sessions before. Usually we keep this in a very, very informal fashion. We keep it very, very conversational. The extended panel eventually is with you all, which means we would love to hear from you at the end of the session when everyone have spoken out, which is my speakers for today's session, right? So we will open up the house then. You can share your observations, or you may, if you have anything to add on to today's conversation, we would love to hear from you as well. Without any further ado, I would request all my speakers to join me on the video, and as many of you, if you can join us on the video, makes for a better conversation, purely because otherwise I don't feel that I'm speaking to a robot, right? So having said this, I have with me a wonderful panel, and the best way of putting together this panel or any other panel is that apart from the rich, I would say, work ethics they hold, they are very, very talented individuals. I think that's the better way of introducing anyone. Whenever I get to meet people, I really love to get to know about them a little more beyond their CV for that matter. Okay, so having said this, I will, for the need of still formally introducing all, right, I'll quickly introduce all. I have with me, and this will also the chronology of our speaking sequence, which is, as I introduce, these speakers will be the one who will be going in that sequence. I have with me Miss Anu Monga. I think her full name is Anuradha Monga, so I think I should be saying Anuradha Monga. She is at present the chairman of TAISI, which is the Association for International Schools in India. She is obviously a very, very distinguished leader from the South. And as I've been given to understand today, very, very recently, that she is, I would say, a trained classical dancer. She is a horse rider, and she has done something very interesting, which is that she has brought in a leadership dimension to training through horse riding. So that's something which I would love to hear from you more than anything else, actually, right? So having said this, welcome, Ms. Anuradha. Good to have you with us. I think we are hosting you for the first time at IPN, so pleasure to have you with us. And moving on to my next speaker, as I mentioned, is Miss Nisha Bhakar, and she doesn't like that I call her Mrs. Nisha Bhakar, so that's one more thing I would like to quickly add. And having said this, wonderful individual, I got to meet her very, very recently, and having said this, affable, that's a word which comes to my mind when you speak to her. Again, to your cliched introduction, she's the principal and director of Navyug World School in Nellore, right? Or not Vellore, Nellore, right? Andhra Pradesh. And she is a very, very, I would say, what she was sharing with me, a passionate scuba diver, right? And she is into all these junky stuff, I would say, right? So, but having said this, there's more to what meet the eye. And having said this, I welcome you, Nisha. Good to have you with us, and we will look forward to hearing from you as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
My third speaker is Mathura Prasad ji, Mathura Prasad ji, is the principal at Aristo Public School in Cuddalore, Tamil Nadu. And Mr. Mathura Prasad hails from Uttar Pradesh, that what is I know, and he is working on something very interesting which I heard from him, and we will all love to hear from you, Mathura ji, a little more about it, but in the stipulated time, which is the Krishna's ideology. And he believes that every kid which is being born up today or being raised today should really follow on the footstep of Krishna. Lovely. Being a Yadavanshi, more the more lovelier, I would say. Thank you very much. Right? Because I think we should keep gods at the ideal level only. I mean, no one should take the ownership of God that I'm a Yaduvanshi, though I own him for that matter. So no, nothing of that nature. Okay. Having said this, lovely, good perspective. I would love to hear more about it. And I would say a little offbeat as well to begin with. Okay. My second last speaker is Chitrakala ji. Chitrakala ji is at present the principal of Chennai Public School, obviously in Chennai, right? So good to have you with us as well. A very distinguished career, 35 years plus of academic excellence, if I may say. Having been with her at IPN, she's been a very regular member of IPN's sessions, and she's hosted a couple of our series as well. So I have known her, and she is fantastic with her deliberations. And what I would love, which was I got to know today only that her dad is a national award winner in the field of arts, and where he got her name from, which is Chitrakala. Very nice, fantastic. And I would love to hear from you as well. And she is a CBSE resource person, all that, right? So those something are her introduction. But more importantly, I think whenever I have heard her on IPN, I really found a very fresh perspective through her deliberation. Thank you for your time, and good to have you with us. Last but not the least, and I will begin with a huge thank you to her. You know why? Because it is very difficult to be a last speaker in any panel. And someone who takes it on her chest is truly a warrior to me. So she's a warrior, and I feel she is a fantastic human being. I obviously got to know only, so you all are more or less my COVID friends, if I may say, right? I've met many people in my life that I met during the COVID through these webinars, and we met Jyoti ji. She's the principal, the founder principal of the Shri Ram School in Shri Ram Universal School, how do we call it, right? Shri Ram Universal School in Hyderabad. Fantastic human being. We actually once sat down together, got to know her work. Fabulous. I mean, really, really hands-on individual. I usually put those adjectives to an individual. So I think she's a very hands-on leader. I would say very unassuming, but very, very effective. And that's the way one should be. Having said this, Jyoti ji, always a pleasure having you with us. She is also one of our impact leaders from this year's chapter of India's IPNs, at least. I wouldn't say really, India is a very big thing to call. But having said this, IPN believes you were an impactful leader this year for sure. Good to have you all. Very elaborate introduction, because I'm sure everyone deserves that truly, because they have taken out time for this session. Everyone who is joining us today, thank you for your time. We look forward to a very, very healthy conversation. And as I mentioned, once every speaker have spoken, we will come to you for an extensive Q&A, because we really want to hear from all of you. That's the aim of all our conversations at IPN. I will request Anuji to kickstart the conversation. Over to you, Ms. Anu.
Hello. First of all, I have to thank you, Gaurava, for bringing me in. And it's so nice to meet all the, the heads of schools and principals. And it's so good, even if you see in our lot, there are, I could say, one of them is a great risk taker. One of them is an artist. One of them believes in Krishna's teaching. And a lot of it goes into the leadership, like when, so basically trying to teach what is right, you got to do, even if you have to fire a teacher.
Correct.
Yeah. And then, of course, the great dancer, and who has also been, Chitrakala Parishad in Bangalore is a big art school. So
Okay.
Obviously she has some, yeah. So when I want to begin, basically, I've done a lot of work with international schools, CBSE schools, and underprivileged. First thing I would say when kids are coming back to school, health and psychological problems are very, very important for us and for the head of school to work with her team, his or her team, to see that these children have not, because I don't know if you're aware, a lot of abuse has happened at home because everybody is in the same house. So one has to work on them, how a child is feeling, even though if he is not followed too many of online sessions, now is the time to work with the child. And we all have to work as a team. So, yes, we talk about digitizing, and of course, digital is one of the main tools now, but how we work with them, it's not only uh, just the focus on the content, but how we teach the kids how to create projects with it and make kids' life more interesting.
True.
And the head of school, when he enter now, has to look at the financial point of schooling. I mean, there's a lot to be done, and also to see that the professional staff, the operational staff, and the assistant teachers, I mean, the whole gambit, and the school drivers are looked after. Because talking about COVID, how are we going to, see that everything is clear, kids can come, because now also parents are hesitating to send their kids.
True.
So there has been a lot. Yes, financials will increase, but to get your kids back, we have to do it, and we have to sit on our budgets where we can decrease and where we have to increase.
True.
So, and so, we all, yes, I understand it. It'll start with blended learning, but when we do have blended learning, you have to understand there is more pressure on the teachers, because one is in the class face to face, and the other one, she has to go on Zoom, and now many schools are doing it at the same time. So for her to concentrate on the present teachers and on the Zoom, I think it'd be nicer if the class is over 20 that we get an assistant teacher in those classes.
Okay.
Yeah. So these were my thoughts. And of course, I work with my heart. I've done a lot of work with the learning needs children. Now, how to cope with the learning needs children when they come back to school? Yes, the very, very elite schools had gadgets which the kids could do. There is a very nice app when the child is a non speaker, can work with that. But we have to be sensitized.
Correct.
And every teacher can work with a kid which has a different disability. But all of us to remember that we all have disabilities. So, so we have to train our teachers how to work with these kids, train their peers how to work with them. It is very difficult. I mean, I have written an article which I can send to Gaurav about all this. It's basically on diversity, equity, and inclusivity, and that is what we have to do today.
You would love to. Please do send us across. We will share it with everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's very essential, and it is very painful to see some of the staff, and the child is not completely normal. They say, "Ye thoda pagal hai." That's not right. That's not right at all. How do you see what's wrong with us? So I think these are the things now we should follow for the coming time. And now, you see, a lot of kids have missed a lot. So we have to go over our curriculum again and how to get back with the kids. As you remember, there are some kids who are about 9 or 10. Many times when the teachers on Zoom, they they put it on mute because it's too much. They've had some kids have had psychological problems being glued to the TV from morning to night or to the screen. So I would say we have to review our curriculum and bring a new curriculum which will help the kids to cope up Maybe it's a little longer stretch, but it'll finally help the kids.
Okay. Okay.
So anything else, Gaurav, you'd like to
No,
ask?
fantastic. I think point well made, I would say. And having said this, these are the fallouts I personally feel and pitfalls which one has to really navigate. And
Yeah.
it would have its own contextual flavor. I'm certainly sure something which is happening in the north or extreme of north may have a very different bearing on it. And having
Yeah.
said this, but the common thread will be that there are the pitfalls which one has to really take care of.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Moving on, Nisha, over to you.
Thank you so much, Gaurav, and good evening. It's a pleasure, and I do see a few familiar faces out here. So wonderful to connect virtually. And yes, like you said, getting to know people for the first time, but on a screen, not that great, but I guess for the time being, it's good. So, just to clarify, I'm not a passionate scuba diver, though I've done scuba diving. I'm extremely petrified of water. I
Okay.
enjoyed my skydiving, though I was equally petrified. So thank you for Mrs. Monga for saying that, risk taker, I believe that was for me. So now, having worked in, some of the big towns and Gurgaon and Jaipur and Hyderabad and all, we've now working with a very small city called Nellore, and we are part of the Krishnapatnam Adani port. And what Mrs. Monga was also sharing, we have a mix of students. So we've got schools which are doing CSR activities, and then we also have a school which is privileged. So now, when I share the experience of the last 8-9 months of the pandemic, it's been a mix. And there are two spectrums that we're working on. One is a set of children who do not have any facilities or gadgets at home. But fortunately, the impact of the COVID has not been much because they've not really followed so much of the restrictions and they've been moving out. So the socially, they've been there for each other. So I guess they're better off, and we are yet to meet them. The other set of children is, where we meet them every day in the online classes, and, we take them forward. So while I was gathering my points to share today, I just asked all my teachers, I said, this is not me. It's, we're going to take forward what we all believe. So please send me your points. What should be our priority? And just to sum it up all again without being repetitive, one is that, I feel with more than the students, it is the parents that I feel who would need a lot of hand holding, because there's been a lot of fear in parents that, the world is ended, the world has come to a standstill, my child has missed out a lot. And, I come from an army background where my father was posted in Srinagar when I did my 12th. And because of the militancy, the whole, the state was under a lockdown, and I never went to the school other than just 1 month. So, and we didn't have any internet, we didn't have any support, and we were in a far off place because where the army camps are. And we studied on our own and managed to get very good results and managed to, and not just me, I'm talking about most of us. And, we are relatively doing very well in life. So, the whole thought comes back, and I was just trying to draw a comparison that we didn't really feel that scared. Maybe because the media wasn't there, so we enjoyed our lives. Our parents did not create such a big ruckus over us losing a year because they came from very humble, normal backgrounds. So it was okay for children to be at home and play. Today's parents are very different. So I think the first thing that we would like to do as a school is to reach out to the parents that, which they have been also seeing visually because, where we have the online classes, that teachers have done a great job. It's not a complete loss of a year. A lot of new skills have been developed, not just with the students, even with the teachers. I mean, we were not so comfortable doing online classes at all. It was very, very rare. At least I'm being very honest about it. Now the teachers are more equipped, they're more confident, they're more skilled. So I think they're going to be even more effective when the children come back to the school, and we will cover up. So there is going to be some sort of, a gap which has to be assessed and covered for us, especially for our school, which is for the underprivileged, because we've not really had much contact out there. But it's not the end of the world, and that's what we'd like to share with parents. So we want to very seriously take on parents, like one of my mentors says, as pedagogical partners, where we help them understand, which we've been doing slowly, though because it's a new school. But now when we get on to the next year, we would like to do it more aggressively, where we show it to them that, there are multiple ways of learning, and it's not as if your child has not done 100 worksheets or 100 math sums, he's missed out on something big. So there are easier ways to learn, and which we're going to be doing. So that is one, so that their anxieties settle down.
Yes.
Then, of course, I think it's extremely important. Again, as an army kid, I feel that, too much of hue and cry being created about this skill, that skill, like coding being one of them. There's a lot of debate that I'm hearing around coding, that coding needs to happen, coding should not happen. I don't know what 21st century skills are, honestly speaking, because I think the pandemic has clearly told us that a lot of us went haywire, and schools also went haywire. A lot of us leaders went haywire. So I don't know what we're preparing for, but I think what really stayed with all of us and should stay with our children is not just teaching them employable skills. Now, I'm again very vague on it. And I totally accept that probably we are also trying to figure out what it should be. But something I've seen, because I've set up about 4 schools and I enjoy setting up schools and they've really done well, and across, CBSE, IB and Cambridge as well. I feel something that really stays with children to be able to deal with stress and certain unforeseen events like pandemic would be that, there's a lot of positivity, there's a lot of collaboration, there's a lot of love, there's less of fear. You're able to reach out to people. You can call your principal, you can call your teacher. So again, we claim to be a fearless school across. We do not believe in hierarchies at all, and that's the way we like to be. We would like to strengthen that even more. We would want to reach out more to parents. We would want to reach out more to children, and yes, handhold and try to actually gauge and understand that are they really that stressed? They're all dying to come back to school. And they're all happy about it, even the online classes. So I have not seen such a big stress, but I'm a little confused. So we would want to gauge that and see. Definitely, the whole pandemic has helped every child and parent also understand that children can learn independently as well. So there is that one aspect of learning which we would love to take forward, where we make children more independent of their own learning, and teachers also realize that I don't need to be stepping in for everything and anything. So that is an approach towards teaching learning that we'd like to continue once we get back. Reading definitely is a big passion for us. We've continued doing that even during the pandemic, and I was surprised and so amazed to see that there was so much of resources available, which we had not really tapped in. And because of this pandemic, we've been able to tap in. So I'm quite thankful to that. Finally, what Mrs. Monga was also saying, a lot of tweaking of our, finances needs to be done, because there has been loss of budgets, though fortunately our management has been very kind and we've been very well supported, not just the teachers, all didis, bhaiyas, drivers, everybody has continued to get our salaries paid and everything's been looked after. But still, I think we would like to manage our finances well, put the money in the right place, and then see that, it benefits the teachers, because we are very high on teacher training as well. And I think it'll even be more required, as well as reaching out to parents and children. And finally, personally, I feel I've just realized that I need to organize my time a little more. You are endlessly working morning till evening, and you just pick up the phone and the laptop every 2 minutes. And it's like, it's just started taking a toll, and you feel, no, I think there needs to be boundaries, which we've told teachers, no messages after 5 o'clock, do not even bother to call me unless there's fire. And I too try to see that, we don't bother them. And I think that needs to be really respected. So ensure that the burnout does not happen when teachers come back, because they've really, really worked hard. And I think some of them are all here. So a big kiss to all of them, because they've done such a fabulous work. And I sit here and, speak on their behalf, that they've made me feel so proud. And parents have been appreciative, not just ours, I think across. And we do see parents acknowledging that teachers have done a great job. And I think principals also, we've not done too bad either. So thank you so much. I guess that's
wonderful. Absolutely. I think fantastic, very practical approach. I must say this is, if I was you, I would have more or less done the same. So you actually pick those threads which are very relevant, I would say. And it is always good to be at the fence, to be very honest with you. The way I see you, you are at the fence right now, taking a very observant call on things, for that matter, which is that, okay, we are hearing about the coding as well, but then that's a fallacy in a way. I personally feel there are a lot of justification going into it. I mean, there is a lot to be reading about. And wonderful point that sometimes when you read the social media or the news thread, you sometimes figure out that, am I missing out on this thing, or was I really not even part of this conversation, for that matter? Because it is made to look too huge in a way, fashion.
Oh, and such a pressure.
Yes.
With
So,
pleasure.
so, so I think sometimes we need to also consume a little less of social media. That's what I'm trying to do very intentionally. And having said this, the last point to me is very important, which is your work-life balance. One has to really create or draw a line somewhere or the other that 5 o'clock means 5 o'clock, guys, and respect it something where the other. Fantastic. I think very practical perspective, and loved each point of yours.
Thank you so much.
Moving on, I go to my third speaker, Mathura Prasad ji. Over to you. You'll have to unmute, Mathura ji.
Yeah, very good evening to Honorable Yadav Saab, Gaurav Yadav Saab, the great personality, and taking the India to the next height. You know, India was the golden bird in ancient time, and after that, Mughal came, the British came, and everyone what they did, they spoiled the education system of our country. Now we all have to work hard the way the Gaurav sir is doing, the way the all the principals are doing, working hard, and let us take challenge or revolution that in India will create the great leader and they will lead the company, they will become the CEO and they will lead the world. And once again, India will become the golden bird in the world. The basic principle of human capital theory stresses the role of education as a productivity enhancing investment. The gap between knowledge and the life and the work and education is more than ever before. At present, because of lack of skills, young people on completion of education, schooling, even the graduation, post graduation, and training have great difficulty. Employers today are deeply concerned about the lack of 21st century skill, namely the problem solving skill, critical thinking skill, communication skill, collaboration skill, and self management among the employees. Another part, research and discussion have shown that these skills are the best learned in academic setting. So, student, learner, children should learn these skills before they leave the schools, for they are not just for the workplace. Higher education or vocational educational, technical training, but for dealing with all the aspects of life in this era, people and the organizations have to continuously adapt, change, innovate, create, and network in order to survive and succeed in all the fields. Now, experiential learning would be an intelligent response to such constant, complex, and dramatic changes in the field of education. There, people would continuously expand their capacity to create the results they truly desire, where new and expansive pattern of thinking would be nurtured, where collective aspiration is set free, and where are the constantly learning how to learn together, teachers and the children together. Now, the teacher must be at the center of the fundamental reforms in the field of school education in India. As per the new education policy 2020, we have taken even the pre primary in the school system. Earlier, class 1 was the starting for the CBSE school, but now CBSE also has taken the step. The government has also taken the step to add the pre school education, that is pre nursery, LKG, UKG. So the new education policy has helped to establish the teachers guru in India. position for the teachers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheswara, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah. This is the sloka about the teachers. And if you go through the all Granth, Srimad Bhagavad Puran, if you understand the Lord Krishna, you will come to know that Guru is on top. And Lord Krishna has taken Guru in all the areas where the king, they were running their empire on the guidance of the gurus. So means at all levels, as the most respected and essential members of our society is guru, teacher. Teacher is the national builder because they truly shape our next generation of citizen. It it must do everything to empower our teachers and help them to do their job as effectively as possible. The new education policy also has helped to support and empower them in all the subjects by providing them the training in the teaching learning process, by ensuring livelihood, respect, dignity, autonomy, while also instilling in the system basic methods of quality control and accountability. As our new education policy also has taken care that all the students, irrespective of their place of residence, a quality education system should be given to them, like inclusive classroom and curriculum. What is the meaning of that? Where all the children are sitting together in one classroom and they are getting education. Now, if a child who has lost the eyes or like a leg, and then he is not given the admission in the normal school, but after schooling, after completing the school or college life, he has to go to the society and he has to face all the challenges like the normal person. So what has to be done? There should not be discrimination. So means it is very much required that inclusive education in school campus must be started, where all the parents, they are bringing their children to school with hopes. So every child has to be given that proper health and well-being in schools. Means school should welcome the children wholeheartedly without any discrimination. So, we need to create the healthy atmosphere in our school campus, right? By providing them the love and affection. Let them learn in a proper manner with respect, no stress, no anger. If child is late little bit, let's find out what is the reason behind it, why the child is late, what is the reason, what the parent is facing problem. Okay. Second thing, then developing the social personal qualities and creating the safe healthy school environment. There is no punishment at all in the school campus that we need to create, that we need to create the quality in all the subjects dealing in classroom teaching and learning process. There is hidden curriculum also. What is hidden curriculum? A teacher will focus into the 5 6 children. He will not focus to all the 40 children. He or she will have some like important children. That should not be there. So we need to understand every child sitting in his or her class.
Mathuraji, 30 seconds, please. Yeah. Final
Sure,
30
sir. Sure,
seconds.
sir. I'll cover up. I'll cover up. So now another point is transforming pedagogy in teaching learning as per the 21st century skill. Next point, we need to have the collaborative learning. We have to sit with the child. We need to ask him, "Ki, what do you want, my dear? how to support you, and let's do work collaborative way and develop some experiential learning. And by doing all those things, we can utilize even the art integrated learning also, where the teacher and the children all together they are dancing. And if all those things are done, definitely I'm happy that the competency will develop, the child will become competent, and he will face the any competition of the world. Thank you so much, Gauraji, for giving
Thank
me
you.
great.
बिल्कुल no, absolutely perfect. I think NAP has a huge impact on you. I mean, having said this, आप उसको
Correct.
कंठस्थ कर लिया है आपने, इसको बोलते हैं, अब अच्छी तरह से अच्छी तरह इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे. फैंटास्टिक. नहीं, गुड. NAP का पूरा जो दारोमदार है वो हमारे ऊपर ही है. अगर it's a fantastic document, उसको इम्प्लीमेंट हम ढंग से करेंगे तो I'm sure there will be a lot of changes and fantastic. We'll wait for the Q&A part and please stick around. Moving on, my second last speaker, Chitrakala ji, over to you. Obviously, you're the co-host. In case you wish to share anything, you can do so. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. I'll be sharing a document. Well, it won't take much time. I'll finish it in 10 minutes. I will just, straight away plunge into the document, what I've got over here. The first one, well, I would like to tell this is emphasizing on a caring and inclusive environment, wherein I would like to stress upon 5 T's. Talking to every stakeholder in the system, then training everybody, especially the teachers, and then, yes, the students as well, and all other staff who are there with us. The third one will be teaching, incorporating a lot of new strategies into teaching, wherein, because as again, how Mr. Mathur was just telling, incorporating all the new strategies, what the NEP speaks and what CBSE has rolled out. Not only that, also what we feel is good for the demography of the place where we stay. Then giving the children the right tools that they require to learn better. As Ms. Nisha was just telling, accessibility, inclusive of digital technology to everybody should be available, ensuring that all of them are there with us so that, the teaching and learning happens in a better way. And yes, the last, but the very important one is taking care of all the stakeholders, which is really important. So this is the first one where I feel all the stakeholders have to be on the same page for preparing ourselves, not only after the pandemic, for the future. The next would be on the emphasizing on the forgotten habits. Yes, as Mr. Mathura was telling, values are so important. And I feel, it's a bit forgotten looking at the West. So first and foremost, I will say will be the environment, wherein, I feel, as a leader, we have to ensure that we follow, because if you look at our past was very rich, connecting themselves with the environment, which is less nowadays. Second would be the importance of well-being, as every leader who I've seen in this platform has been speaking about it. Here, not only the physical and mental, you have to focus on the emotional and the purposeful well-being as well. And the third one is really important. Everybody should be responsible for their own leadership, which means you ensure that every stakeholder has their space, number one, is given the opportunity to voice out what they want to do, number two, has a lot of interaction within the community, the transparency, the inclusiveness doesn't speak only about the children, it also have to speak about the teachers, everybody says, the forgotten person will be the leader, or the unsung heroes will be the principals of the school. So you have to include them as well into that. So that inclusiveness and making everybody responsible for what is happening in and around them is also required. The next point I would like to go to is, 1 second, because it's just going back. Yes, yes, personal hygiene, I'll come at the end. Now, setting goals. Setting goals should be smart. It's not only for the children, I believe setting goals for the teachers, for the parents, and for the students. Reason is, if I set a goal for the student and if the parent is unaware of it, I cannot take it forward. Similarly, if a goal is set and if the teacher is unable to transact well, so first it should be a short-term goals and long-term goals have to be planned well, then cascade it into the system, and that has to be done in a phased manner so all are smart enough to follow it. I will not go into the details of it because the next one is the most favorite of mine here, especially which I would love to speak a lot about it is the SDGs that all of us as leaders have to take it forward because there's a huge threat. Everywhere we read, as Ms. Nisha was telling, the media is making it big or whatever it is, but we are seeing it physically happen. A statistics also said recently, the whole earth has gone up by 1 degree, the temperature has gone high. If it goes for another 1.5 degree, it will become a place where people cannot live. And imagine if we are not going to take it forward, it's going to be a big threat for all of us. So all the sustainable goals has to be taken forward. And believe it, I've pushed my teachers to get enrolled into this, and we are doing a lot of activity with all of this. We did last year, preparing seed balls, and we distributed to the children and to parents, and we did a lot of activity. So this year I'm looking forward that we are doing some purposeful activity where our children, our parents, and our teachers understand it's important. Our time is gone. The future generation has to have a proper earth to live, for which we principals are really responsible to take it forward. So this will be the most important goal that I will be thinking of. Yes, teacher training and skill development. I don't speak about teacher training only subject-wise. It has to be even emphasizing on the skills, which has to be done because you never know. This kind of pandemic, what has happened, I've heard teachers ending up in some kind of, to earn their living, they are going to place where they are delivering food and they are having their own small kiosks to support the family. So teachers have to be trained with some kind of other skills. Good to pandemic, we are digitally a little more skilled now, but I hope, more of skills are being done. Next important point is this: we have to restore, evolve, and transform a lot. In this, I'll just take only 2 areas. One is affordability and digital equity, because our country is very diversified. We have people of all cadres. Financially, some are really sound, but many are really struggling. So as a country, we have to ensure everybody is able to afford what, because we are calling now as we cannot take back the digital education, we cannot take back this online teaching. In such conditions, how will every child get the education who's unable to get it? This is a big question wherein we have to find a solution for this. So digital equity is important in every place. This is my very, very important thing that has been pondering in my head for a long time. Next important is equitable access of education, because as we read the NEP, we understand how people in certain part of the country, they are unable to get good education. How we are going to do this? These 2 areas, because it should be a priority, top 10 priorities, this should be one very important priority, I feel. So the next important thing I feel is, yes, personal hygiene, which cannot be inevitable in future. As the new normal says, you have to wash your hands, you have to take care of yourself. We be telling, believe it, I'm having children inside my building for about a week now. When they see their friends and when they see their teachers, they are so excited. They just want to go and connect with them soon. And all time we have to have people who are reminding them on these things. So I feel, if at least few of these we take it as priorities and put it in front of all the leaders of India, probably we can do some, changes, especially with the new NEP rolled out, which is really wonderful. What lot of things is there. As you read it, every time you get some new ideas into you. Thank you so much for the platform. And it was wonderful to meet all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for doing it on time.
Thank you.
Final speaker, Dr. Jyoti Reddy. Over to you, please.
Yeah.
And Ms. Chitrakala, your presentation was so fantastic that I've started to get messages that I want your presentation as in.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Jyoti ji, please.
Yeah. Namaste, Gaurav, co-speakers and all the attendees of the meeting and the viewers of Facebook. We all have proved ourselves as leaders and warriors, relating ourselves with the first letter of alphabet, because I'm a teacher, so I'm starting with alphabet. The letter of first letter of alphabet, that is A, adopt, adapt, adopt, and adapt. Right? When we say we all, including students, teachers, principals, directors, parents, everybody proved themselves as leaders and warriors. And each organization, I feel, has a different vision, different ecosystem, and different background. So my priorities might be different from the priorities of the other school leader. But as it is a wider platform, which the viewers are across the country, I thought on taking an umbrella, we can look into the common perspectives when I speak about the top priorities for 2021. So what I feel is I have come up with 5-point formula. Anything, any priority or any task, or as an individual or as a leader, we have to take it with clarity of purpose and data-driven planning. Because we can't get carried away with jargons, with tensions, with risks. And we, in fact, to say frankly, we didn't miss anything in the pandemic. Yes, we have missed a little bit, but there is nothing to get panicked because of the pandemic. Something has been lost in the education sector. What I strongly believe is what we all as educators could not have taught for many years in schools, this one pandemic has taught our children, teachers, everybody with just within 1 year. So whether it is about academic syllabus completion or learning gaps or whatever it is, I don't think we are expected to get into, confused or stressed situation to handle the gap. So whatever we want to do, if we have the clarity of purpose and data-driven planning, because it differs from school to school or ecosystem to ecosystem, what I was trying to say. So my 5-point formula is 2 P's and 3 C's. So when I say 2 P's, it is process and people. So I'm not getting into the minute details of number 1 priority, number 2. Whatever priorities we have discussed from Western region, Central region, Northern region, or now Southern region, whatever, I think something or the other falls into these things, what I'm trying to put it across as an overall objective. So when I come to 2 P's, that is process and people, process, administration, and academic planning and reflections. So the world-class planning also goes for toss if we don't reflect on what has happened in the previous year. So whether it is academic planning or administration planning, it should be like based on the reflection of what has happened in my previous year. And what I feel as a leader is not just related to the previous year. What is your vision for the school in your strategic document for 5 years and previous 5 years also? Why should we just get confused and get involved only with the pandemic year and the next year as a priority? So until and unless there is an alignment with what we are doing with our vision, core values and principles, I think we might miss something. That's the only concern from my end. So when I say academic and administration, my administration covers operations, safety and security, SOPs, policies, essential agreements, school calendar. So everything revolves around your school calendar. So when we plan our school calendars for the next year, it could be with clarity of purpose. And when I say safety, security, it could be about everything, not only physical safety, security, emotional safety, security, cyber safety, security. So that's my approach towards my presentation is an overall perspective of every minute detail. So when I say SOPs, policies, and essential agreements, we have to tweak our SOPs and agreements depending upon the need and what we want to do as a priority for the next year, right? And when I come to academic planning and reflections, what all of my co-speakers spoke before me get covered here, whether it is sustainable best practices. So it is not that we are going to work in compartments. The best practices which our teachers used in the previous academic year are to be sustained and taken forward, whether it is technology usage or whether it is handling emotional well-being issues or whether it is handling parents, whatever it is, every best practice has to be sustained. And even SDGs I have covered in terms of no need to concentrate on all 17 SDGs. Again, you have your clarity of purpose and your planning reflection, which one I can take it, what is my requirement. Then the checklist, planning greens. What I feel is we can't have one or two priorities. The entire academic and operations process are to be relooked and changes are to be made aligned with our vision and what we want to achieve. Focus on quality enhancement and pursuit of excellence should be the mantra of whatever we do. You take 2 priorities or 20 priorities, but how is it aligned? That makes the difference. Then when I go to the next part, which is people, under people, I have covered students, teachers, parents, and my school management. So when it is about students, everybody spoke and we all agree that it is about emotional well-being. And I took the word as self-discipline. It is applicable to the child and to the adult. We can't achieve anything by imposed discipline. So just now, ma'am has mentioned about the personal hygiene, right? So it could come from the self-discipline. And the other day in one of the sessions, somebody spoke about the academic honesty because of online assessments or whatever. So whatever we want to achieve, until and unless you make the child and the teacher or the person involved in the system take the ownership in terms of self-discipline, I think we will be working on the same things year after year. So emotional well-being, it makes a lot of difference. Then diversity and inclusion, already it is discussed by other speakers. When it comes to teachers, I feel SEM well-being, that is social, emotional, and mental well-being of teachers is also very important, as Ms. Nisha mentioned and gave a kiss to all the teachers saying that they are the warriors. Yes, we all agree that they were the heroes of 2020 and they are going to take the baton forward, right? And authentic empowerment. So until and unless you empower teachers, a school leader cannot achieve anything. So let's not get into the security issues of our aura of the principal or the leader or our position. You empower, or we are expected to empower our students, teachers, and also parents to reach our goal. Compensation, because yes, some schools have faced financial problems and they couldn't get full salaries. Some schools could get full salaries. That's fantastic. But every school teacher didn't get any increment. Both the management and the teachers had their own financial issues. But the best part of teaching profession is we give without expecting. Even that has been proved in this academic year. So next year, the top priority should be taking care of the teachers' compensations. Then again, self-discipline is here. Inclusion, as ma'am mentioned, inclusion is for everybody. When I say inclusion about teachers, what I try to emphasize is hand-holding the teachers who require professional development in terms of emotional handholding and the training handholding. It's not that you showcase your top teachers and you try to just keep the other teachers. You equality and inclusion of teachers in terms of handholding, that should be the mantra of the school leader. Give a lot of importance to the professional development. So that's his teachers. Then coming to parents, make your parents as true partners in educating the mind and the body until and unless you involve, because this is something which has helped us during the pandemic year a lot. So involve parents, whether it is about proper communication or proper programs or collaborating, whatever it is, then supporting healthy functioning of the school. When I say this, until and unless they get confidence about the school, about the academic delivery, they will fight for justification for fee payments. So ensure that your academic program, your physical, whatever you are going to do in terms of emotional and physical safety, security, your activities, your events, whatever you want to plan, let that give confidence to the parents that yes, we are with the school and we can't make them a mess. Making that no fee payments and etc. Because until and unless we get financial support in terms of proper fee payments, we can't sustain further. 1 year ho gaya, but next year also if this is the same condition, I think we can't. Where do schools go? So the school management, yes. So school management, though they have their own hiccups in terms of financial losses, whatever it is, the budget issues, quality of deliverables at various touch points of the school should not be compromised. The minute you give the importance to this quality of deliverables, you don't get, or we don't get, any issue in terms of fee collections. And as leaders, we are supposed to be with the management in terms of bringing out cost-effective and workable solutions. So under, whether it is technology infra, or whether it is recruitment, whether it is increments, whether it is your, whatever you want to plan as a school leader, what I feel is I should be empathetic, being myself in the management shoes, to give cost-effective solutions so that the quality deliver also happen, so that my parents are happy to pay the fee. So that's about people. So coming to 3 C's, one is collaboration. Collaboration among teachers and students at different schools and zones. Pandemic has proved that we are very good and we reach our best potential only when we collaborate. So it's not just again after everything is fine, again restricting ourselves to our own school. Yes, we do have our own challenges, but let's continue this collaboration across the country. Then collaboration with technology and other education partners. So the only school leader or school teachers might not do, whether it is IPN or whether it is ACE or whether it is whatever it is, if it is yardstick or butterfly or any robotics, whatever partner, means whichever partner you want to look at, believe in collaboration in the right way, taking right decisions. Then the government agencies, yes, we have to meet our statutory requirements, and local communities. Until and unless we connect, collaborate with local communities, they are not there for the school. If if a school is in a challenging situation, the first stakeholder who comes forward is parent, then the local communities. If we are doing wonderful job and if we are involving our students and programs in terms of community service projects or doing something for the community, in that way we will be teaching our children to contribute in the society, not just taking from the society. So this is about collaboration. The next C is creativity. So whatever I spoke about processes and people, bring in the creativity in your approach. It's not just a skill of 21st century. Be creative, be innovative in solutions and approach towards every process and every person associated with your school or with our schools. So solutions, not just the lessons. When I say everyday lessons, it is nothing to do with the academic lesson. Everyday lesson as a school leader, handling a parent or handling a security guard, handling a child, handling a teacher, handling a crisis, approach with a fresh perspective, involving yourself with creativity and innovation. Look for solutions that integrate objectives of academic and administration. You can't work in silos. So as long as we feel that admin and academics are hand in hand, we can't achieve our goals. Then leveraging students at home for effective real life application of learning. So this is something to do with real life application. So when you are planning your pedagogy, whatever you want to play around, bring in, see, we all do this, but having a purpose, clarity, that's what our teachers were doing during the pandemic also. They were trying their level best to make the concepts aligned with the real-time application as children were there in their houses. So let's continue in terms of real education, forgetting about syllabus completion or whatever it is. When we plan on our progression grids, when we plan on our academic planning, whatever we want to take it forward in terms of assessments and all that, as a leader, we should approach with a creative mind. Then the last three is culture. Yeah. Experiences of each stakeholder feeds back into building a culture at the school. If I have to say with pride, I have to say only the culture of the school has helped us to sail through the pandemic. The support from the parents and culture cannot happen overnight. It has to be worked for. So when I say culture, it is about authentic alignment of all stakeholders with the core values of the school. So my values might be different as per my vision or something else. So how much authentic we are towards our core values, what experiences we are giving to develop that culture, and having empathy, being responsive and approach towards concerns, that also becomes the culture of the school. How we approach a parent when he comes with a concern, or how we approach towards any challenging situation, that becomes the USP of that particular school. Okay, this school is very approachable and friendly, and this school doesn't listen to the parents. So every school has its own USP. So until and unless we make our USPs and values as our culture, I think it's very difficult to achieve our goals. So to summarize, let's prioritize happiness, identify the opportunities, and prioritize mindfully. So that's how I want to conclude with my 5-point formula: 2 P's and 3 C's. Namaste and Happy New Year to all of you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So well prepared, I must say. Then that's the beauty of it. In fact, all these MBA terms, USP, unique selling proposition, and a lot of that brought me back to my own MBA class, if I may say. Having said this, thank you very much, Jyoti ji. Your preparedness is your biggest, I think, the way you approach anything. Someone could have just done this 10-minute. If I was you, I would have not even prepared this much, to be honest with you, right? So having said this, your dedication is something which I personally would love to inculcate in myself, that whenever I go more prepared. So that's the way I will see this. Having said this, wonderful conversation. You're all done with all our speakers. I will put this, in fact, now in the gallery view. And now let's take up questions, observations, and the house is open for everyone to participate. You'll have to have a quick virtual show of hand. Once you are done, I'll help you unmute, and then you can ask or make an observation, I would say. Okay. My only request is, and I'm happy that people are coming on the video, becomes far more easier to transact with you. Thank you very much, Karuna ji. Good to have you. Robert, good to have you as well. Chitra ji is there, Uma Balan ma'am is there, and a lot of people with the mask as well. Anyway, so let's have observation questions, whatever. Harwant Singh. Harwant ji, पूछिए अपना question.
Thank you, Gaurav Yadav ji. It's been a really, very, very good session. I had been through, especially Mathura Pandey ji. He has raised a point I really love. I love Lord Krishna, and I believe Gita is the best granth in our culture. If one can learn Gita, he can or she can learn everything of the life. Philosophy, best philosophy. And I respect Anu Monga ji also. She is very good leader. She is sensitive, and she has put her point on sensitizing. Nisha Bhakar ji, very practical approach. And of course, the last two speakers, Chitrakala ji, very systematic, and Jyoti Reddy, as you said, she's not, only the last but not the least. She's the best, I guess, and very, very informative. I believe to raise one point here.
Please.
Being a leader, we should work hard on our emotional and psychological development also. If we as a leader are emotionally and psychologically strong to handle all the situations, and we should learn two best tools of the life, love and care, because these two tools are very useful methods to do hand holding. And being an educationist, we have to do hand holding for the parents, for the kids, for the teachers, for the administration staff, everybody. Everybody actually need us in a role of hand holding person, not a boss. We should not look to be a boss. We should be a helper. So this is something where we can do it only when we are emotionally and psychologically strong. We should sensitive enough to understand the perspectives of others, and that's what I was looking forward to share. It's been a really nice session. Thank you very much, and thanks all the worthy speakers. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful, absolutely. Thank you for your points, Karuna ji. And I also had Neha until before. I think Neha has left. But having said this, Karuna ji, unmute, and you'll have to unmute. Yes, please.
Hi, Gaurav. Good evening. Good evening, Nisha. Howdy, girl, and everyone out there. And
I'm so happy to see you though virtually.
well, for everyone else, I'm here calling from Jaipur. And it's so heartening, I would say, that apprehensions of me and my likes of heads of the school in this part of the country are absolutely in sync and similar to there. And that is a great deal of satisfaction that we are not the only ones having and holding those kind of apprehensions and insecurities and worries there. Dr. Reddy, you were awesome. You were awesome. Absolutely. One last thing which you told me, which you which impressed me was, it is the culture. It is the culture of the schools which could sustain us through this pandemic, and which could help us keeping ourselves buoyant and afloat through all this. And this is one wonderful thing which you said. It's other than the culture, otherwise we could not have sailed through. And when I say we, means all across the country there. And 2 C's and 2 P's and 3 C's, yes, it's prevalent everywhere in nutshells. But then right now, the concern is how to get back the students back to the school, and more so primarily for classes primary and below, where more than the students is the parents, those who are quite skeptical about their sending. So to repose the faith in them is the biggest challenge now. So, of course, here in Jaipur, we have started. In northern part of the country, we have started with class 9th and 12th onwards. But then slowly we are going to see how the schema works, and then gradually from 6 to 8. But then this session and perhaps the first quarter of the next session also, we are quite apprehensive whether or not we are going to get those primary and pre-primary students back. So I do not know. Let's see. We'll be watching you also, people there, as to what the South Indian schools are doing. And I'm sure we are going to just copy you there. And wonderful, everyone. Nisha, it's wonderful to hear you there. And Gaurav, you're doing a wonderful job. Anu Monga ji, namaskar. Yes, I've heard a lot. I keep following once in a while there, and today I got to meet you through the digital platform. But then now this is the new normal. I'm sick and tired of hearing this word new normal, but then this is how it is. So Dr. Chitrakala, Ramachandran, namaskar, ma'am. And Mathura Prasad ji, namaskar aapko bhi, sir.
Thank you.
So, yes, wonderful.
Thank you, Karuna ji. Thank you. And I will request people who are not speaking to please keep yourself muted because otherwise your backdrop really impacts the entire decorum. That's a request. Okay. So wonderful to meet you, Karuna ji. And we've been on, as I said, I think I need to welcome you on IPN as well. We have never hosted you, but look forward to have you with us as well. Any other observation? Would love to hear. And Harwan Singh ji, before I go to anyone else, let me tell you, folks, IPN is a very bottom-up network. I personally take a lot of pride that I want to go to people who are beyond the metro setup. To be very honest with you, I was personally born and brought up in a very small town, and that's the way I see it. That the real, and not to make any divide as such, that the real India lives there, or for that matter, those are all very emotionally appealing words. But having said this, we truly, if we mean inclusive education, we need to take everyone along for that matter. So having said this, the beauty of IPN is that we have someone as erudite as the leaders from the South. They're fantastic. They have wonderful experience. But at the same time, you may be having someone from actually a Bulandshahr in UP, or say a Jhajjar in, say, Haryana. They are also part of it, example, in this conversation. And they're equally erudite in terms of their contribution. So I would love to have more observations on today's session. Any question, if you have, to all our speakers. Otherwise, if we do not have, then we have to say bye-bye to each one of you.
I just want to share something, Gaurav. Yeah.
Please go ahead, please.
Because I love to ask questions, number one, but now I'm not going to ask a question. I just wanted to tell something, Ms. Karuna was just telling, I was so happy to see what is happening. Jaipur is also happening in the South. There is one very good proverb in my mother tongue. I would like to tell it and then I'll explain it to you. It goes like this: Yam petra inbam vayyagam peruga, which means whatever happiness I have got, let the whole world get. I can see that attitude in Ms. Karuna. Thank you so much for sharing. And I should share one more thing, this has been lingering in my head since a week. I've been attending all your sessions. Gaurava is a very aggressive father. He collects all information from the principals and he tries to analyze and find a way for his children. Very nice way. I appreciate your talent, Mr. Gaurava.
That's the least offshoot I can get out of this, right? But having said this, yes, my daughters really get a lot of inputs. They usually, you might have seen, they really linger around.
Yes,
they are nearby.
They cross very often. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I personally like that. I think that was a Tamilian proverb, I believe.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Neha, your question, you wanted to say something? Please go ahead.
Yeah, of course. I just can't have a question here because, you can have question only when you either understand or don't understand. So my bad that I could listen only to the last two speakers. And all I would like to place on record is my appreciation that they have presented things so meticulously well that I was just wondering, oh my God, it is something I have to learn. So hats off to them. And indeed, it's a platform where you get to know so many great things, which you feel, there are times you feel that, oh, we know certain things. But then when you listen to such speakers, people coming from all corners, of the country, for that, if we may say for now, you feel that, oh, even if you know certain things, there are so many more that you can learn just by listening to people who have done their research well. So thank you very much for enriching us, and thank you, Gaurav, for bringing to us people who have really put in so much effort in making us understand that what are their priorities and leaders, and of course they resonate with us.
Thank you, Neha, for your appreciation. For the introduction, Neha is the principal of GD Goenka Ghaziabad. Any other observation? Oh, Deep Khareji, without your, we shouldn't end the session, I would say now. Over to you. Deep Khareji is the principal of Jodamal Public School in Jammu. Over to you. Yeah.
Sorry, I was not there in the last session. I had some problems here. Very cold nowadays. And I was looking at South and North, and I would like to put on record that I was born in Rajasthan. Okay. In my MSc, BSc from Jhansi, Gaurav's place, in fact, and was teaching in Hyderabad for 10 years, a year earlier. I was working in Lawrence Lovedale for a year or so. And presently, I'm at the top of the country called Jammu and Kashmir. So I do not know where I belong. But one thing which is common all across, that we all are apprehensive all the time, because we are facing every day a new challenge. I think for me, Corona was a little bigger one. Otherwise, I had enough problems as a boarding principal for 10 years in Hyderabad. All right, when I started teaching in Karnataka for a year, started the school, there was enough challenges. But the common sense, which I always been a big fan of, the common sense which we require or we have is the biggest answer, the biggest skill. I always say that as a teacher, I was busy creating common sense. I used to teach physics and I'm teaching physics also, and to give them wisdom. If we are able to do these two things, I think a lot many 22nd, 23rd, and 24th century skills will be developed basically. So let us not bother about 21st century. We are already into it. And if we can face pandemic, we can face everything. So less assured. In place of trying to teach children, let us better learn from them. This is another message I would like to put across. And if we keep them freedom, I would like to share a big happy news that one of my child of the school has got Pradhan Mantri Bal Puraskar yesterday. He's one of the 32 children. So I'm a principal who belong to one of the 32 principals. That is what is happiness to me. But during the interviews by various channels, he said what all he got prize for, he has done all these things on his own without taking any coaching. He made an app basically for women safety with the name is Suraksha, for which he was given the innovation prize from the Prime Minister. He said, and I was shocked. He in this school for 8 years, and I'm knowing him for the last 2 years. We never thought he'll be doing something that great. So what I'm trying to tell you that he is a live example of his interest and passion. As a teacher of physics, I only was very keen to let children figure out what is their happiness, what makes them happy. In place of giving them an agenda, you become an IAS, you become an IITN, let them figure out what they like. And we help them, we let them free to do what they want. I think that is the biggest thing which can be done to make a lot of changes. The excellence become very easy, what I feel, and these things takes place. Mr. Gaurav, thanks to you and to let me see these wonderful people. I thought they don't exist. I'm discovering so many wonderful things around. Ma'am Karuna Yadav, I heard a lot about you through a few of my old colleagues, and I belong to Jaipur in one way or other. I was all my life in Ajmer and Mayur. So Mrs. Bhatti, you must be knowing. Sandeep sir, I'm a big fan of him. He's then like many other ma'am. Chitrakala, great to have you. Ma'am Jyoti, I was in Hyderabad for 10 years with Ivy League Academy. So it is a known-ness to you, and likewise. Mr. Gaurav, thank you very much. If I have spoken more than required, pardon for that. Thank you.
Not at all, not at all. If you do not speak, usually I feel a little uneasy. Where did you go wrong for that matter, right? So having said this, well, thank you. Always your presence is valuable. In fact, I would also like to just quickly add, and I'll come to Abhayji to you as well. Abhayji is joining us from Dhanbad, I believe. I met this young boy, which Deep Khareji is speaking about. He came to my quiz 2 years ago, and Harmanjot, that's his name, if I remember well. Yeah. A fantastic young kid. If you know, he's a third, very cheerful. He won my quiz while I was hosting in Jammu. And that moment itself, you know, let me tell you a few things which are usually different from these young kids, which I personally believe my daughters will pick up, is that he was very inquisitive. He was very, I think he's in the 6th, 7th grade or 8th grade now. I'm not sure of right now. Yes, 8th. Yeah. Okay. So, and his dad immediately wrote to me after the quiz that we want to keep in touch with you, Gauravji, in terms of what else can this boy do, which is the Harmanjot example. And I think that moment, I won't really name the company, but there was this company, which is why he has created that app, because that company is under a lot of flack right now. So they really reached out to him, which is through us. I think he went on to that coding bit and whatever he possibly gathered from there on. But the beauty was that everything is inconsequential. His nature of being inquisitive, staying in touch, and being very humble in his approach. Those were the qualities which I really personally liked, which is a rarity in students these days. And when I saw, and I said to my wife, actually, I was sharing with Kalpana, my wife, that see, this boy has now gone on to be this national champ. And this is just the beginning for that matter. And I remember asking him, what do you want to be in life? I think he wanted to be a civil servant. That's what he told me, at least when he won the quiz. So firstly, I'm sure you are not taking enough credit, Deep Khareji. You are there you've been only there for 2 years, but I'm certainly you are enabling those young kids to be themselves, and that's a beauty of a gift one can give anyone for that matter. So thank you very much. Abhaji, you were there, right? I think. Abhaji, you'll have to unmute and then ask, please. Yeah.
Right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, all the leaders and all the mentors. They really have encouraged us to do much more what we can really aspire for us. First thing, I really liked everyone's deliberation. Jyoti ji, Jyoti ma'am, that was the best part I heard. Really like this. That is the first letter, which tells us to be adoptive, adaptive, and adaptive. Wonderfully said and wonderfully understood.
Thank you.
Vikhareji, same pinch, because even I'm born and brought up in Rajasthan. So I really loved that somebody is there from Rajasthan. Karuna ma'am, thank you so much for your happiness, which is being showered on. And one thing more I would like to add, Gaurav and everybody else, that even my son, when we are talking about the students, they are really doing wonderful. My son, he secured 15th All India Gate rank 15th last year only. And without any coaching, without anything, all on his own. And really, that was really wonderful. And that was really shocking to me also, because I never knew my son could do so well. I was after him all the time, but why aren't you studying? Why aren't you studying? He said, Mama, mujhe padhna hai, mujhe padh le dijiye. And I had never seen him studying on the table. I don't know when he studied. And right now, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, he's going to Singapore to pursue his PhD.
Oh, lovely.
In nanotechnology.
Very nice.
Yes,
very
sir.
nice. Very
So
nice.
that is one thing I have learned from basically from Deep Khare, that this is also Dr. Deep Khare. That is also my vision, that I should not be just running after the rote memories. Like, we should enable the students to live on his own and just encourage him to understand more and more of the things. That's what even I am doing right now. I don't know what more I could do for my students, but yeah, मैं सच में ये सब चीजें सीख रही हूँ. I'm just learning from this platform. Thanks to you, Gaurav, because you are making us understand so many things in such a better manner.
No, आपका बड़प्पन है, ये सब बोल रही हैं आप. But having said this, I'm just a conduit, nothing else.
Gaurav ji, if you allow me another 30 seconds.
Please, sir. और निशा जी, by the way, निशा जी भी राजस्थान की, मुझे लग रहा है ये बोलना चाहती है. मुझे लग रहा है.
I'm very tempted to say I shouldn't introduce like that कि मैं जयपुर की हूँ.
Sorry, Nisha ji, I forgot to mention your name.
No, not at all. But I'm just seeing the popularity of Jaipur. It just makes me feel so happy.
Exactly. I am born and brought up in Madhapur. Yes.
Okay. I was just trying to add a few things here as well. We just talked about two children who have done everything on their own. Means they were not looking for tuitions. I think as a principal of various institutions, it is our very important responsibility to create an atmosphere where a child feel himself very strong and confident.
Yes.
He should not need any support. I'm a big fan of zero support from school or parent to a child. I've been a boarding principal. My rule was don't help children, let them struggle. If they don't struggle, they won't be at all strong, and they will be one day falling flat, and there will be no parent, no coaching institute to stand by them. So if we keep on letting children to figure out their own solutions, and this is a very major point, Mr. Gaurava must be bored listening all the time, but I can't stop it. It is so strong for me, and I'm working percent of my life personally, that we are sometimes get busy into giving solutions to children of all problems and questions. Let us put a ban in the school that no teacher will give any answer to any child. Let them figure out, let them make answers of the questions. You give only one question in a week, no problem. Correct only one question which has been answered by children on their own. All 40 kids will write 40 different answers. If we do that, all things which we talked about, the creativity, the reasoning, the logical thinking, critical, all will come up. Right now, I see my teachers busy correcting pages after pages of the work which has been copied from the notebook of other friends or from the book.
Exactly.
Why are we wasting our time in something which is copied from somewhere? It's not the creation, this is not the performance of somebody. Let people perform. I've seen it in many places. I won't talk about my own school presently, that the children are supposed to copy down and that's the end of everything. And if we ask question, it should only be asked during examination. I taught physics all my life. I cannot teach without asking questions. By asking question, I keep on clearing the doubts and to the concepts. But here, if you ask question, means you did not be informed beforehand. What are we talking about? So we have to create a culture where the questioning is done to explain the things, to give them the understanding, not the knowledge. I'm a big, Prasad, don't mind. I have a very serious objection for the GK quizzes. I always ask, let us have an understanding quiz.
Correct.
Let us not have a GK quiz.
Correct.
Who was born which day? Prasad, you heard me saying, no, this is my body part. It is called mobile. Mobile is my body part. Please understand. You can ask all your teachers to start adding one more part in the junior classes. Mobile is a part of the body. Are we teaching children who will live without mobile in later life? Why do they need to know tables? Why do they need to know data or the facts? They know all the time. They will know much more than us. They are faster than us. Then why they are sitting and cramming or trying to figure out or gather the knowledge? They have to make a sense of the knowledge. They should be able to analyze and understand the knowledge. We have to have a method by virtue of which this can happen. And my last sentence, please differentiate between a figure and a diagram and a picture. Picture is a real life thing, right? And each child should be only exposed to the picture, not to the cartoons. This is my personal feeling, not to the diagrams drawn by somebody. A child can recognize the cow in the picture, in the diagram, but he can't recognize the cow on the roads. Because all the diagrams take children away from the reality. We are saying that all learning takes place in the classrooms, which is wrong. I have heard about experiential learning. For me, the experiential learning takes place more outside of school than inside. By showing them one day test tube and next day burette, experiential learning is over. I'm sorry. The child was taking bath by mixing hot water and cold water. That was bigger learning. He was making a cup of tea. This is much more important. Experiential learning. He was riding a bicycle. He was trying to open move a heavy table. That is the learning, the friction, the force, all that will be there. But we feel, okay, you cut this thing and that, don't mind my last sentence, the creativity I have seen has been sponsored by Google only nowadays. And if you can do some craft work, that becomes creativity. I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with creativity altogether. Craft work has nothing to do with creativity. Making rangoli is nothing more creative because it is available on the Google all the time. So my humble, I think I spoke more than required, but this is what I thought I'll say.
No, not at all, not at all. As I said, you are, we love your thoughts. And in fact, Nisha, before you come in, just to quickly add to what Deepji is saying, and that's my own view, because I'm raising my girls, my two young daughters, which is that it is good to fail firstly. I mean, understand this. We have somehow made this very wrong, which is example, yesterday she was writing the spelling of delight. She was not able to reach at the right word because she's in the first grade. So I usually do with her that 5 new words on a daily basis we need to learn. Okay, so she was, and she was fearing that before even attempting that, Papa will have an opinion. I said, no problem, get it wrong, but get it right after that. You have to work to reach where you're supposed to reach, right? And there's perfectly okay to get it wrong. Somehow we always believe in perfection. That's not the way I have been raised, if I may say. And that's what I'm passing on to my daughters. Sorry, Nisha, over to you now. Yes.
I just want to say one thing, that teachers nowadays are more or less facilitators. They're not teachers. I want to, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nisha?
Just wanted to share this, like what Dr. Deep has just mentioned. So having worked with, children of elite city schools and led one of the most experiential learning schools like the Heritage, where I was leading the whole school transformation, to now working in a Hyderabad school, which is Sancta Maria. So I'm also, that's another common ground that I have, where I'd started that school and left it after 4 years. And now in a remote town like Nellore, I see that we've been known for progressive experiential learning schools. And we strongly base all our learnings on projects and experiential learning across subjects. And the whole, the assumption that probably the city children will be able to do it and not so much, because my experience with the rural or the small towns was zero, other than what I've just started now. and it just breaks all your assumptions. And what you just said, that the teachers only pose questions, and then there is never a scope of a right and a wrong, and there's never a scope of an average, because as long as you're able to justify, your answer is valid. And it's amazing to see how children do it. And it's just so such a lovely experience to see even a small town kids, which we think will not be able to do it. This whole approach of experiential learning and project-based learning just makes it so much possible, whether it is mathematics, whether it is science, or whether it is, and of course, we've fortunately had great partners with us like Joro Gyan, who's been working with us for a very, very long time. And they do maths so beautifully that, children just understand. So I totally agree with you that I think schools need at all. And not just this, in my entire career, we've never used textbooks ever. And children have learned and they've thoroughly enjoyed. And when, kids say, when are we getting back to school? And this is across, and this is not just the first school. Every school has been a great, happy school. So, the whole experience of learning becomes so delightful. And it's only because you don't stick to the classrooms and you don't stick to the textbooks. So I'm so happy that, we all are echoing similar thoughts. And
wonderful, wonderful, fantastic. Harwanji, you want to say something? Harwanji, you want?
Yeah, definitely. Yes, the discussion going on. It is very important for all of us to understand. Even when I'm teaching accountancy personally to the students. So I used to say that if you can solve your questions, it's good, really good. You must congratulate yourself. But if you can't, then it is a jackpot to you. Then it is a jackpot to you, because we all live with probabilities. And if we leave those probabilities of doing mistake for examination day, you will definitely do that mistake there. So it is better you do your mistakes. Don't bother that your answer must be correct always. You are a learner. And as a learner, you are free to hit as many accidents as you can. You just put a learner's board on your car and hit as many as you can. So no need to bother about it. We should nourish this practice. That definitely, I am strongly agreed with Dr. Khare. Yes, it is must needed practice, and being system leaders, we should nourish this practice definitely, and we should focus on as many jackpots as our students can get, because once you eliminate the possibility of doing mistake in your classroom, it is the most important part for your knowledge enhancement and your development and growth. Thank you so very much.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Completely out of time. Thank you to each and everyone who had joined in today. Wonderful, lively discussion. That's the beauty of this conversation. And obviously technology enables to meet everyone across the country at a click of a button. So that's the beauty of it. And having said this, so much to go back to, so much to really, in fact, even I keep learning every way. I will become a principal without being a principal, I would say, very soon. So having said this, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Good to see you all and hope to see you soon. In fact, 30th, we will culminate this conversation. In fact, when I say this, our regional legs have now been done on the 30th at sharp 5 p.m. I look forward to have you all because we'll be having the national dialogue on that day, and everyone who have contributed to the discussion in all the legs will be a part of it. And obviously, we are getting some fantastic speakers to speak on that day. But having said this, for me, each one of you is a speaker, provided you want to speak. Thank you very much. Take care. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye.